This is News 4 at 11 on your side.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joe Hart.
And I'm Melissa Carlson. Our top story this evening, UNR President Mark Johnson is speaking out on the controversy of the Nike ad that's now featuring former Nevada Wolfpack quarterback Colin Kaepernick. He says, quote, the University of Reno, Nevada community has had its fair share of controversies around the First Amendment. As an advocate for the right of free expression, I value the dialogue Colin Kaepernick brings to campus, to our country, and to the world. Now, Nike has brought some controversy among fans and critics after making Kaepernick the new public face of its iconic Just Do It ad campaign. It's also their 30-year anniversary of that. Kaepernick, of course, attended UNR back in 2007.
The news tonight, Vice President Mike Pence is in Las Vegas right now for a series of events going on down there. Earlier today, the Vice President toured Nellis Air Force Base and talked to a crowd of veterans and airmen and women praising President Trump and also Senator Dean Heller. He mentioned that Trump has signed several bills that were introduced by Heller in Congress meant to improve services available to our veterans. Pence will attend a fundraiser benefiting Nevada Republican gubernatorial candidate Adam Laxalt and an event of the Republican Governors Association while he is in Las Vegas.
A great event happened earlier today. CrossFit athletes gathered for a special kind of fundraiser, pulling for our little heroes. It's a Northern Nevada Children's Cancer Foundation fundraiser that started back in 2013. Athletes in both CrossFit and weightlifting competed at the Sands Regency Hotel in various different sporting events. This year, event organizers were anticipating a huge community turnout, and they say they weren't disappointed.
We just started asking for volunteers, and everyone started joining teams, and it was kind of it's kind of spiraled into a big event. We have 20 athletes.
Last year, this event raised $50,000 for local children affected by cancer. And since the event started, more than $135,000 has been raised. This event continues tomorrow again at the Sands until noon.
I'm tired just watching that crew. Well, RTC and Lyft are partnering up to provide another option for people to get to Midtown during the Virginia Street construction project. Starting today, you can get 50% off your Lyft ride trip to downtown using the code RAPID in the promo section of the app or on their website. Valid drop-off locations are anywhere on South Virginia Street between Liberty Street and Plum Lane. For more information on the partnership and the construction, you can visit our website, mynews4.com. Well, the Great Reno Balloon Races are floating back into town for the weekend. Always a great event, but have you ever wondered why they actually call it a race?
Every year it gets me. I see the little balloon. I think, what is it? Oh, it's
actually
the
a competition.
It's actually a competition. Ben Marjal wanted to find out what it was all about, so he has more on how this is more than just about hot cocoa and beautiful balloons. There's a high-stake competition happening at the same time.
Long before the mesmerizing mass ascension at the Great Reno Balloon Race, a critical meeting.
We're looking at a real good day today.
Meteorologists set the stage by tracking a pilot balloon using a theodolite like this.
3, 2, 1. Snap it on. Elevation is 21.2.
They relay the wind speed and direction to balloon pilots. On Friday, calm winds were in the forecast.
Up to 4,000 feet above the field, the highest wind we had was 9 miles an hour.
As the balloons seem to casually float away, the competition heats up. At two different locations, scorers have placed a huge white X. The goal is easy enough. Throw a yellow beanbag as close as you can to the center. The pilots have to balance the shifting winds and use their expert skills to hit the mark. Less than an hour after liftoff, the first pilot flings his bag.
70 feet, 9 inches.
Not bad, but not great. Later, another balloon brushes by trees.
Yeah, baby!
And coasts in just feet in the air. Touching the ground gets you disqualified. A rare opportunity for California pilot Justin Kinsinger.
I get it that close all the time. No. Have I ever gotten it that close? Probably that's about as close as I've gotten it.
Scorer Sean Wagner says in previous years, a few feet still isn't good enough.
Within an inch. I mean, it's been, just right on top of the pin.
Most of us are just there for the beautiful balloons, but for the pilots, it's so much more.
It's exciting. It's exhilarating. This is why we come out.
In Reno, Ben Marjat reporting.
Well, there is a $7,500 prize purse that's split between the top 5 pilots based on how they did today and tomorrow. And as of right now, there is no competition element on Sunday.
Well, US 395 between the towns of Walker and Bridgeport down south is back open after being shut down because of the boot fire. That blaze is burning 20 miles north of Bridgeport, California. It's burned more than 6,800 acres and still 0% containment. The cause of the fire is still unknown at this time, but good news, that road has reopened. The Delta fire burning just north of Redding, California has spread to nearly 31,000 acres tonight, and Interstate 5 is closed in certain areas along the north and southbound lanes. For the latest information on this fire, you can head to our website, again, mynews4.com.
Well, tonight, hundreds gathered in downtown Cincinnati to honor the victims of yesterday's deadly shooting. During the vigil, there was music, candles, and a lot of hugs. The mayor remembered the victims and praised the officers who ran in to stop the gunman. Yesterday morning, the gunman opened fire on a Cincinnati bank, killing 3. Then the gunman was shot by police. Police say that they still don't know a motive to the shooting. Confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh are finished after 4 days in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Friday's session heard testimony from a series of outside witnesses, including law professors and former Kavanaugh clerks. Some expressed fears that he'd roll back a series of protections on environmental and civil rights issues. But supporters say Kavanaugh is a universally respected judge and informally fair.
All right, stay with us, everyone. We got to look at your full weekend forecast as the Balloons get ready to take off in the morning. A full wrap-up of Friday Night Lights football, on sports as well. A lot still to come on News 4. Welcome back, everyone. This week, a mistrial was declared in the case of a former U.S. soldier accused of murder in an infamous shootout in Iraq. Nick Slatton was part of a team known as Raven 23 and was working as a military contractor for a private security firm, Blackwater, at the time of the shooting in 2007. 14 civilians were killed, and 11 years later, there are enduring questions about what happened that day, whether the shooting was self-defense and whether justice was served. The case of Raven 23 and what happens next this Sunday. A full report on Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson. It airs at 9 o'clock Sunday morning.
Well, we just can't shake the summer heat here in northern Nevada. We tied a heat record today, reaching 95 degrees at the airport. That places us 10 degrees above where we need to be. And well, we're going to hold on to the 90s as we head through the weekend. Those of you saying enough already, well, don't worry, I've got some cooler weather in the 7-day as well. Let's take a look at the Great Reno Balloon Race for tomorrow. Gates open at 3:30 in the morning. If you are eager to get there and get your spot, expect 63 degrees at that hour. And then things to cool off as we head towards, well, dawn breaking. Mass ascension by 7 a.m., 58 degrees, so just bring some layers, but you won't need the full winter workup like you have in previous years, as we're still holding on to some heat here across the Silver State. Temperatures expected to hit 90 degrees for your Saturday, definitely making it a Saturday, and well, Sunday fun day at 91 degrees. But here we go, the fight between summer and fall. Fall eventually will win out, but it's making its first big punch in the forecast as low pressure looks to line up along the west coast. By Tuesday into Wednesday next week, we're going to pull in some cooler air. Expect 70s in the forecast. We'll be flirting with 70-degree territory by Wednesday. Then as that low lifts, there's another one right behind it for the weekend. So it's going to reinforce that cool down. We'll stay in the upper 70s and low 80s across the region as we head into next weekend. Will we tap into any of the moisture associated with any of these low pressure systems? Well, that still has to be fizzled and figured out with this forecast as those lows approach. As we take a look out towards your weekend, though, we're right back into summer. We'll go backwards here. 92 in Fallon, sunshine, light winds for the most part. Expect a little bit of an afternoon breeze. 87 in Carson City, 89 out towards Dayton, 90 though for Fernley, with temperatures up around Tahoe. touching 80 degrees in Glenbrook and Southlake, upper 70s for Tahoe City. And, well, you got one more weekend to go camp with some heat at Pyramid Lake. 92 degrees for Nixon, 89 though in Spanish Springs, with some upper 80s and low 90s taking over many valley locations. Expect a little bit of a breeze into the afternoon hours. For the most part though, we're finally quiet tonight. Clear, quiet, 57 degrees. A great Friday night forecast. And tomorrow, 90 degrees. We hold on to above average temperatures. Good to moderate air quality expected. And, well, here you go. Your 7-day forecast. There it is. 79 degrees by the time the air races kick off. And then we stay in the low 80s, upper 70s through to next weekend. Temperatures around the lake will dive into the 70s. So maybe get out there and enjoy those 80s and sunshine in Southlake this weekend.
High school football season in high gear. We'll have all the highlights of the evening on Friday Night Lights. Straight ahead when News 4 at 11 returns. Don't go away.
Good evening and welcome into another edition of Friday Night Lights. It's brought to you by the Dolan Auto Group. She is Shannon Kelly. I'm Brian Samudio. Yes, a marquee matchup tonight on our sister station, My 21 TV, on Friday night. Rivals between Spanish Springs and Amani Ranch.
Yeah, and what was unique about it is that we are a month into the season, and this is the first time either team had faced a squad from Nevada.
Both testing themselves against California programs so far this year. Picked things up after the coin toss in the first. Ranch already up 7-zip, and it's Colby Melton across the middle. Makes a catch for Spanish Springs, breaks a tackle. He'll get into the end zone, 23 yards for the score. They'd muff the point after. Damani Ranch up 7-6. Mustangs ball now. Michigan man, Cade McNamara, plenty of time, and that's a bad thing if you're on defense. He strikes on a 3rd and 17. Ty Allison, 43 yards. Stangs up 14-6. Second quarter, more from Katie Mack. He'll hit a wide open Jake Polson. Somebody blew the coverage on this one. Running wild in the Cougars secondary. Damani Ranch cruises by Spanish Springs 49-14. How about a Southern 3A champion in Desert Pines at Bishop Manogue? Desert Pines just moved up to the 4A, and the Jaguars show they belong in the top division in Nevada. A little ground and pound, and Desert Pines leads at 20-16. But going the other way, Bishop Manogue can work the ball on the ground as well. Their walking scholarship offer is Peyton Dixon. Breaks through and rumble. Young man rumble. Gets into the secondary. Nobody will catch him in the open field. He ran for 201 yards, 3 touchdowns on the night, but it's not enough. Desert Pines tops Bishop Manogue 33-20.
The Carson Senators made the trek up north to Robb Drive tonight, and would they be able to stop the McQueen Lancers and senior running back J.D. Kolb? To the second half we go. Dominique Stallworth looking for an open man. The spiral near side right to J.D. Kolb.
That's a catch.
That's a catch. He's all fired up. Next possession, it's Kolb again with the ball.
Why not?
The far right side runs that one in for a touchdown. McQueen up 30-zip in the third quarter. Fourth quarter now. Lancers with the handoff to Nick Ryan, the senior, pushing the Senator defenders out of the way for the touchdown as McQueen shuts out Carson 44-0. Galena hosting Reed. The Grizzlies hoping to tame the Raiders at home, and Brian loves these helmets right here. The Raiders with the Battleborn look. New this year. First quarter, Baylor Horning throws it far side. He connects with Trevor Cabela, and Trevor does the rest, rumbling down the sideline for the score. 7-zip Reed. Still first quarter, Galena's Alex Laird. He's in trouble. He's sacked by big Dominic Lange. The Raider defense comes up big. A little later, more from Baylor Horning. This time he finds Champ Robertson on the far side. He will take that one for the touchdown as Reed takes down Galena 20-7.
Wooster back in the 4A division, facing a test against Reno at home. First quarter, Huskies would open up shop, call up the gut to Mick Carey. Sophomore goes in easily. Yes, sir. Here's the ball. Thank you very much. And Reno's up 2 scores. Move to the second. Drew Worthen on the little keeper going right, and he's got some buddies in front of him, the big fellas. Even knocks over one of his offensive linemen. Reno's up 20-zip. Still second quarter. Huskies going up top. Play fake. Kyle Vermoyle launches it wide open. Hagen Manfredi, and it's nothing but taillights. Excuse me, Mr. Official. This is my field. Reno shuts out Wooster 48-zip. Up to North Reno for Hug and Douglas. The Hawks band mid-season form tonight. Can't play football without a band. Second quarter, Hug football. Hug quarterback Marcus Aurelia Perry takes off with it. Gets hit once, gets hit twice, and the ball comes loose. Tigers pounce on it, and Douglas is in business. This may be the play of the year so far. Seconds before halftime, Tigers on the prowl. Final play of the half, Colton Widener chucks it deep. Isaiah Galenfeld, the sophomore, comes down with it at the horn. Arnie Monfiletto's Tigers are 2-0. Douglas tops Hug 37-19.
Moving now to the 3A division, North Valley's hosting Elko. The band in full force there with those turquoise feathers. Heading to the fourth quarter, North Valley's with the ball. Pass blocked by Elko. Indians get the ball back here. The handoff now to Casey Bruns for a little run. Elko still up though, 33-7. Heading to the final play of the game, the pass to Kellen Franklin breaks a tackle there.
Loose.
Runs that one down to the 10-yard line. He's stopped by an Elko defender, tries to push him out of the way. It's going to be a good bus ride home for Elko. The Indians handle North Valley's 33-7. Now over to Sparks, the Railroaders hosting the Dayton Dust Devils. Railroaders with the ball, the handoff there, shoves himself in to get his team on the board. End of the first quarter now, Dayton. Play fake here, throws that one to Seth Anderson, who just sneaks in for the touchdown. We're all tied up at 7. Second quarter, Sparks with the ball. Tyler Green says, I think I'll take this one myself, guys. Runs that one in for a touchdown. 14-7 Railroaders, and they go on to win this one 41-15 against the Dust Devils. Sparks ran for 341 yards on the ground.
How about some other high school football scores called in tonight? 2 from the 3A division. Fernley holds off Lowry at home, 29-21. Spring Creek rolled over South Tahoe, 41-12. Eureka County, big win at home over Whittel, 36-8. Brandon Lee was the man. 5 touchdowns for the Vandals on the night, and Battle Mountain shut out Coral Academy of Science Reno, 49-0. Well, the Wolfpack football team is out on the road this week, taking on a team out of the SEC. Alex Margulies and Julian Delgadio having more than the Nashville Hot Chicken down in Tennessee. They're going to have a report coming up after the break. Well, the Wolfpack football team is in SEC country tonight, looking down to take down the Vanderbilt Commodores tomorrow morning.
Yeah, both teams are coming off blowout wins in their season openers. News 4's Alex Margulies and Julian Delgadio have more from Nashville.
Welcome to the Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, as the Wolfpack football program marches into SEC country as they get set for their first road game against the Vanderbilt Commodores. And hi, everybody. Welcome inside Vanderbilt Stadium alongside Julian Delgadio. I'm Alex Margulies. We'll get to the nuts and bolts of this game in a moment, but first, pretty neat thing here today, something Nevada does every week called the Wolfpack Walk, where they bring in alumni and former players of the program. This week, it was Tennessee Titans wide receiver and former Nevada star Rashard Matthews.
Yeah, it was really awesome to see him back with the program. He received a jersey, caught some passes, told his story about making it to the NFL, and you know whether or not he would come back to the 775 soon. But here's Rashard on being back with the pack.
When you come out here and you're back kind of a part of the team, what kind of memories are you flooded with in your time in the silver and blue?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we were talking about earlier, I think, you know, the boys game kind of came right back. You know, seeing everybody, all the fans rush the field that night, it was just crazy, man. But just every game, you know, being with that group that I was with, I think we had some unbelievable players and staff, and everything was just good and great, and it was great to, you know, reminisce a little bit.
When you get a chance to see, like, some of the, you know, Nevada's got a lot of really young, talented wide receivers. For these wide receivers, what do you tell them, you know, that you can go to a Nevada and still make it in the NFL and achieve all your dreams?
Yeah, you know, that was part of my message too. Is, you know, don't ever let don't ever let anybody tell you that you can't do what you want to do. You know, make sure, you know, you prepare and be ready to accomplish what you need to accomplish. You know, if you want to be in the NFL, take every step that you need to take to get there. You know, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something that you've been dreaming for your whole life.
Always good to see former Nevada players back around the program. Appreciate Rashard for his time. He's poised to have a big season with Tennessee this year. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this game. Nevada against Vanderbilt. And to me, Wolfpack offense comes in red hot. Over 600 yards passing and 72 points against Portland State. Obviously, that was an FCS team. But from talking to people around this Vanderbilt program, they're not very confident in this defense, and especially in a very young secondary. Expect Ty Ganji, McClain Mannix and company, I think, to put up big numbers through the air. We'll see if that's enough for Nevada to come away with a victory.
Yeah, and my perspective on this is the defense. They really need to step up. Coach Norvell talked last week about the penalties as well. They had 9 penalties, 2 block kicks. Nevada needs to clean that up. And if the defense can make some turnovers late in the game, they really have a shot at this.
Should be an exciting game no matter what. Nevada trying to knock off their first Power 5 opponent since 2014 when they did that at home against Washington State. Their last road win against a Power 5 team that came all the way back in 2012 against Cal. Kickoff comes Saturday, 9 o'clock Pacific time. You can catch the action on SEC Network. We'll have all the coverage for you over on News 4. And, of course, our weekly wrap-up show on Sunday night after Sunday Night Football, Wolfpack All Access. For Julian Delgadio, I'm Alex Margulies. Back to you guys.
Got to make it quick. We talked about it on the radio today. What do you think?
Their defense is going to have to step it up tomorrow for them to have a run in this one.
Exactly. The secondary of the Commodores has been questionable. We'll see if Ty Ginty and the boys can take care of business. Later.
The Delta fire continues to rage in Northern California, and tonight it keeps a major interstate closed.
And it's been nearly 17 years since 9/11, and first responders are still battling the health effects from that day.
Cooler weather is in the forecast when 70-degree temperatures could finally make their return. News 4 at 11 starts right now.
This is News 4 at 11 on your side.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Melissa Matheny.
And I'm Ben Marjan. Topping our news, one person is dead after an overnight rollover crash in Reno. According to Reno police, the man you see here, 19-year-old Kenneth Lee Homer III, was arrested at a local hospital after the crash. Police say the rollover happened at Scottsdale Road and Bullwinkle Drive around 2:30 this morning. One passenger was not wearing their seatbelt, was thrown from the vehicle, and was pronounced dead at the scene. A second female passenger was treated for minor injuries and was released. Homer is being charged with DUI causing death, speeding, and driving without a license. The crash is currently being investigated, and if you have any information that could help investigators, you're asked to call traffic detectives at 334-2141. After a close call in Sparks today, the Rio Elaine fire, which burned 25 acres, is now 100% contained. According to fire officials, it started at around 3 p.m. near the Vintage Hills neighborhood between Pyramid Highway and Sparks Boulevard. Some fences were damaged in backyards, but no homes were damaged or burned. Officials were able to determine the cause of the fire was human-caused, but was accidental. A more in-depth investigation is underway to find out the specific cause.
Crews are still working to contain the Arc fire tonight. The brush fire near I-80 and the Patrick exit sparked yesterday around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. According to Sierra Front, the fire is about 1,000 acres and is 40% contained. No structures are being threatened, and the cause of this fire remains under investigation. And the good news for firefighters tonight is those winds are really starting to calm down out there. Here's a look at current wind speeds around the region. For the most part, all across northern Nevada, we are under 10 miles an hour tonight. Our current temperature in Reno is 73 degrees. Humidity has jumped up now to 16%. That's much higher than it was earlier this evening. Here are the big 3 things that we are tracking for the week ahead. The first one is warm days and chilly nights. This is for the beginning of the week. And then we're tracking some autumn temperatures. This is for the second half of the week. We're going to see temps drop down even into the 70s. And the third thing that we're keeping an eye on is fire weather watch, which is expected to go into place on Tuesday. That's because of gusty and dry conditions. We're going to be taking a closer look at all of these 3 big things coming up in my full forecast, which is in about 10 minutes. And turning to our news around the region now, fire crews are making slow progress on the Delta fire burning in Northern California. As of today, the fire has scorched nearly 41,000 acres and is 5% contained. The fire is burning north of Redding, California. A more than 40-mile stretch of I-5 is still closed because of this fire. That's according to Caltrans. It's been closed all weekend. Fire officials say the area where the fire is burning is making the fight against the flames extremely challenging.
The area between here and Trinity County is very desolate. There's not a good road system in place. It's difficult for the firefighters to gain access not only to the area but to also operate in the area due to the steepness of the topography.
Fire officials say the Delta fire is human-caused but have not released any additional information as to how this fire started. More than 2,000 firefighters are working, though, to get this fire under control.
A hiker is recovering tonight after being rescued in North Lake Tahoe earlier today. According to North Lake Tahoe Fire, the backcountry hiker needed to be rescued approximately 3 miles into Meeks Bay Canyon because of a knee injury. The hiker was transported by helicopter to Tahoe City, where they were then taken to a nearby hospital.
A missing hiker who did not return home from a hike in the area of Skunk Harbor near Lake Tahoe was found safely this morning. According to the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, the man's spouse reported him missing last night. Search and rescue teams were deployed in the area, but the search was suspended until this morning. The man was found this morning, though, by helicopter crews. He is said to be in good health.
If your business or travels take you to Truckee this week, listen up. Tomorrow, crews will start the realignment of Donner Pass Road at Church Street. Donner Pass Road will be rerouted at Church Street to build a new roundabout. The temporary dirt parking lot will be moved to the newly paved area along the railroad tracks. Well, it's exotic, unexpected, and the 59th annual Camel and Ostrich Races event happened all weekend long in historic Virginia City. News 4 photographer Kosik Bakhta takes us inside this unique event.
The race is on!
The camel races have been going on for such a long time, for 59 years, and it gets bigger and better every year. We're up to 4 shows, just an amazing entertainment, a lot of fun, fast-paced stuff. You really can't guess what's coming out of the chute, which makes it fun. Where do you see camels, ostriches, zebras?
This will be my 20th time doing it, and it's fun.
It's a rush. These animals are all unpredictable. It's not a whooshy sport, so you get on it and you don't know what you're going to expect from day to day.
Special events in Virginia City are really about bringing people to town. They get to experience the history, the culture, enjoy the unique stores that we have here on C Street, but really just have a great time, and it's something here for every family.
What a fantastic event. The Nevada football team fell short in the Music City this weekend. We'll hear from head coach Jay Norvell on yesterday's performance right after the break.
And good news here, cooler weather is in the forecast when 70-degree temperatures could finally make their return. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. This Tuesday, the Reno Sparks community can save lives in honor of those impacted by the tragedy of 9/11. The Heroes Remembered Blood Drive will be from 11 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon at the Atlantis Casino Resort on Tuesday. Following that devastating morning in 2001, Americans across the country rushed to give blood to help those in need. This annual blood drive is held with hopes of embracing the same spirit of generosity. You can find more information about this blood drive on our website, mynews4.com.
The city of Fallon is hosting a memorial service on Tuesday in commemoration of 9/11. The memorial will start at 2 p.m. at the City Hall Memorial Courtyard. There will be keynote speakers, including Governor Brian Sandoval, along with various other events. This event is to honor the American heroes, families, and lives lost during that attack. For more information, again, our website is mynews4.com.
Tuesday marks 17 years since the 9/11 attacks that rocked this nation. In New York, one of the damaged subway stations that was closed for all these years finally reopened this weekend. For many of the first responders who risked their lives to help find survivors of the attacks, their struggle still lingers on. Some are fighting diseases such as cancer, which their doctors say is related to the attacks. Hundreds of New York police and firefighters have already died.
We're sort of on the brink of seeing more cancers in 9/11 related exposures.
Donnell Holbrook, 17 years later, she's reminded of 9/11 at each treatment for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of cancer. Her doctor says the cause was toxic dust and hazardous chemicals at the Pentagon. In all, over 7,500 9/11 first responders have developed some form of cancer. The FBI urges all first responders from that day to get checked before it hits them next. We now know the name of the Dallas police officer who went to the wrong unit in her apartment complex and killed a man. Officer Amber Geiger was arrested earlier this evening. The community remembers the young man killed inside his own apartment. Melissa Rainey has a closer look.
New details surfacing about a shooting that left a man dead inside his own apartment. Dallas police have identified Amber Geiger as the off-duty officer who killed 26-year-old Botham John.
There are people who are very angry. They're calling me, what are we going to do?
Authorities say the officer shot John after entering an apartment she mistakenly thought was her own. Police are now revealing the officer is a 4-year veteran of the department and was involved in another shooting incident last year when a suspect took her taser. The city's police chief says it's unclear what led to this recent shooting.
We are working as vigorously and as meticulously as we can to ensure the integrity of this case.
The city's mayor is pledging a full investigation.
For anyone that questions whether we're going to get to the truth of this, there should be no doubters. We will find out exactly what happened.
John worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers and was a worship leader and a Bible study teacher. This weekend, his church paid tribute to him as friends and family mourn his loss and await answers.
I could not give up because of both of them. I'm right now in his death. I can never give up.
I'm Melissa Rainey reporting.
Those cool nights have made their return to northern Nevada, and those cooler days are going to follow this week. We'll show you when temperatures are going to drop down into the 70s coming up here in a couple of minutes. But first, the current temperature in Reno right now is 73 degrees. Those winds have calmed down fully out there. Humidity is at 16% tonight. All across northern Nevada and northern California, we are seeing those temperatures drop as the night progresses. So for much of northern Nevada, we are in the 70s tonight, and even up instead is 63 degrees right now. When you get up into the high country as well, up around Lake Tahoe, down towards the Mammoth Lakes area, those temperatures getting very cool. 48 in Truckee right now, 50 in South Lake Tahoe. So it's going to start to feel a little bit like fall out there. So we do have a fire weather watch that's going to be going into effect on Tuesday at 1 p.m. It will be staying in place until 11 p.m. on Wednesday. That's because we could see some powerful winds, gusts up to 50 miles an hour, relative humidity down to 7%. So that's something that we're going to be keeping an eye on as the evening progresses, or as the week rather progresses. Overnight though, the low in Reno is 54 degrees. It is going to be mostly clear out there. It will be breezy as well. Winds between 5 and 10 miles an hour, gusts up to 20 miles an hour. And those gusty winds could linger tomorrow as well. So the high in Reno is 92 degrees, and that is going to be our last 90-degree day, hopefully for quite some time, hopefully for the rest of the year, really. It is going to be sunny tomorrow, and again, those breezy conditions out there. The kids are heading back to school tomorrow when the bus picks them up in the morning. It will be 54 degrees, so you're going to want to pack a jacket with them as they head out the door, but then they're going to be taking that jacket off by lunchtime because it will be 80 degrees at about noon, and then when the bus drops them off in the afternoon, it will be 90. But things are looking much cooler as the week progresses. So we're talking about 70-degree temperatures On Wednesday and Thursday, I can't even remember the last time we saw 70-degree temps. And then things are going to warm up a little bit as we head into next weekend. But overall, just a beautiful forecast out there. Same with Carson City, 70-degree temps on Wednesday and Thursday, and even Friday before things warm up as we head into next weekend. Up around the lake, you'll be starting out the work week at about 80 degrees on Monday, but then a big cool down as the week progresses. So getting down to 64 degrees on Thursday, that's the high. So it is going to be chilly up around the lake right in the middle of the week before temperatures warm back up to the 70s. Towards the end of the week and into next weekend. But if you look at those overnight lows, they're going to be in the 30s. It is going to be chilly overnight up around the lake.
Welcome in, I'm Shannon Kelly. Nevada football made their way to SEC country to take on Vanderbilt Saturday morning for their first road game of the season in the second year of the Jay Norvell era. After coming off a 72-19 win at home against Portland State, the Pack couldn't hang on to make it 2 in a row. The Pack started out strong with the defense locking down early. The Silver and Blue held Vandy out of the end zone, holding the Commodores to a scoreless first quarter and a 17-10 Commodore lead going into halftime. But things would begin to unravel in the second half as Vanderbilt's offense made a run, separating themselves from Nevada. The defense couldn't hang on, and there wasn't much production from the offensive side either. With a scoreless second half from the Pack, here's head coach Jay Norvell after the game, as seen on Wolfpack All Access.
Which obviously a tough result in the end. It seemed like your team really did some good things in the first half. You hung in there with this Vanderbilt team, but what was your impression overall of this football game?
I was really proud of our defense in the first half. They hung in there, made a lot of plays, got a couple turnovers, a couple fourth down stops, and just really gave us an opportunity. We just really needed to play off it as a team. Our offense needed to respond and score. We just didn't do that in the first half. And then we came out in the second half and just didn't really execute well enough offensively to give ourselves a chance. And, we've been playing a lot of young players. We had a lot of young players make some critical mistakes at some critical times of the game. And at the end of the day, we just didn't respond to one another, offense and defense, at critical times to make it a game.
To me, when you come to an environment like this, playing on the road against an SEC team, one of the difficult challenges is the size and the depth of a program like Vanderbilt. Was that difficult for your team, do you think, in the second half, playing a team like that?
Yeah, it was a little bit. I think we did wear down physically a little bit. At the end of the day, we didn't stop the run well enough, and we didn't run the ball on offense well enough, and that was a big part of the game. That was something that we came into the game talking about. We wanted to be better against the run defensively, and we wanted to run the football, and we didn't run the ball very well on offense, and so we've got to look at that, got to see if it's a personnel thing, if it's a scheme thing, how we can do a better job of that, and if we can improve that on both sides of the ball, I think we'll help ourselves in our win column.
To hear more from head coach Jay Norvell, you can catch Wolfpack All Access on our website right now at nevadasportsnet.com. You can catch it all week long at 11 o'clock at night on Channel 21, which turns into Nevada Sportsnet on Monday. We also catch up with Nevada football alum and Tennessee Titans wide receiver Rashard Matthews. And Julian Delgadio catches up with the Nevada women's soccer team, who is off to one of their best starts in school history. The Wolfpack football team has another tough test ahead as they return home to Mackey Stadium, where they'll take on Pac-12 foe Oregon State. That game's set to start at 4 o'clock next Saturday. It will be televised on ESPN3, and you can listen to it on ESPN Radio 94.5 FM with John Ramey on the call.
Still ahead, it's one of the most photogenic events in the biggest little city. The highlights from the Great Reno Balloon Race, plus the names of the winners. We have to give them their glory. That's when we return. Stay with us.
It is a day this country will never forget, how the Northern Nevada community banded together to remember the nearly 3,000 lives lost on September 11th. And one person is dead after a school shooting in Las Vegas today. What officials are saying about it and whether it was targeted, we'll find out coming up.
And the wind has quieted down, but a red flag warning remains in place for the next 24 hours. When the wind gusts will return, I've got to look at your Weather Authority forecast.
This is News 4 at 11 on your side.
And good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joe Hart. Here's what's happening at this hour. Some breaking news just into our newsroom. We have learned that one person has been taken to the hospital after being shot. It happened at Mill and Telegraph in Reno tonight. News 4's Kristen Edwards is on the scene with the very latest to tell us what's going on there. Kristen?
Joe, I just finished talking with Lieutenant Rulo with Reno Police. He says a man was shot as he was just walking down the street with two other people. When we first got here, we saw that man being loaded onto a stretcher and into an ambulance. We're told that he has been taken to Renown. Now, we don't know how bad his leg injury is, but we could see that he was awake, alert, and he was talking to officers about this shooting here tonight. Now, the original shots fired call came in to RPD around 10:20 tonight, and all police would say is that when they got here, they learned that there was some sort of altercation. After a few shots, the suspect drove away in a car, and he is still on the loose. Now, we saw police here searching some nearby businesses for bullet holes and other evidence. So while they're still out here doing that evidence collection, Mill here will be closed in this area for drivers. They estimate about 1 to 2 hours that this road will be closed. So they say just be aware as you're driving in this area that there is police activity. And of course, as we learn more about this shooting, we will bring it to you right here on News 4 and online at mynews4.com. Joe?
All right, scary situation. Kristen will check in with you a little bit later if there are any updates during the newscast. Thank you. Well, a deadly shooting on the grounds of a North Las Vegas high school is under investigation tonight. North Las Vegas police say it happened near the baseball field of Canyon Springs High School. The victim, an 18-year-old male who was transported from the scene to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Officials believe with early investigations this was not a random act of violence.
No, we don't believe that this was a random act. We believe this was a targeted act. But like I say, we're still following up on that.
A lot of questions still. No suspect is currently in custody as police are interviewing witnesses and trying to locate the suspect tonight. Well, there was a fiery scene along a stretch of Interstate 80 in Story County today. This fire broke out on the north side of I-80 near Derby Dam and grew to about 30 acres. Truckee Meadows fire crews called in air support to help get it under control. I-80 was shut down for fire crews to fight the blaze, but has since reopened. The cause of that fire is under investigation. All right, News 4 is your weather authority, and we check in with Cassie tonight. We do have that red flag warning in effect. Our fire conditions continue through tomorrow, right, Cassie?
That's right. You know, fire season just not ending here, and well, it's going all year round for the most part with the conditions that we continue to deal with. Dry wind is the name of the game, and we saw a whole lot of it this afternoon. Wind gusts up to 30 to 40 miles per hour, and this fire weather warning will continue. Winds have quieted down tonight, so don't expect a whole lot of concern into the overnight hour, but as we move through to tomorrow, gusty winds will return alongside that fire danger, rough boating conditions, and the possibility for blowing dust and dust storms. Behind the cold front, we're seeing clouds building into Wednesday and Thursday, and well, fall-like temperatures. 70s are taking over the forecast. I've got a full look ahead here shortly.
All right, thanks so much, Cassie. Well, less than 2 years after voters approved the tax measure known as Washoe County Question 1, WC1, dozens of projects have made their way through the pipeline, but some of those projects are controversial, including plans for a new Wild Creek High School. News 4's Kristen Edwards gives us the latest progress on that project.
With this new high school, they're going to be looked as equals. They're not going to be looked as the ghetto kids. They're not going to be looked as, you know, a lesser human being just because they go to a school that's older, that doesn't have as many opportunities as the rest of the high schools.
Wooster senior Ananti Ali is adamant. She believes that when Hug High School students step into the new classrooms at Wild Creek, it will change their lives.
They're going to be able to say that I had a good high school experience because I had the same opportunity as every other kid at Reno, as every other kid at Damani, as every other kid at Galena.
Wild Creek is just one of the many schools on the roster because of funding from WC1. And in a Board of Trustees meeting Tuesday, it was made clear our growing community needs more.
And the fact remains that many students are experiencing classes in a less than ideal environment, in an overcrowded environment today. And because of the work that we're doing and the opportunity that this community has made for us, we're now in a situation to remedy that.
The fixes have come in the form of over 200 repairs a year at schools and in new ones cropping up across the district.
I have a bunch of younger family members that are my cousins, and seeing how they're going to be brought up and how their high school lives are going to change significantly from mine, it's going to be interesting to see.
Again, that was Kristen Edwards reporting. In today's meeting, one trustee brought up a concern over whether there would be enough teachers to staff these new schools, but staff members tell News 4 that teachers will be redistributed among all the schools, just like the students. Well, we now know the identity of the two people killed in a crash in West Wendover in eastern Nevada yesterday. According to NHP, 58-year-old Timothy Yan of Pennsylvania and 75-year-old Nanette Marlowe from Draper, Utah, died after a wrong-way driver crash on I-80 in West Wendover. The crash is still under investigation at this time. Well, hundreds gathered in Carson City to attend a 9/11 memorial today. The memorial took place in Mills Park, and there were several keynote speakers at the event, including Mayor Bob Kroll, Carson City Sheriff Kenny Furlong, and several pastors from local churches. Carson City Fire Chief Sean Slayman also spoke at the event and says it's important to continue to remember the emotions that we as a country felt on that September 11th day 17 years ago.
That day touched all of Americans, and it affected all of us in really many ways, from grief and sorrow to pride and to coming together as communities and as a country. And so it's important to remember that.
And a Carson City resident we spoke with says that coming to memorials like this every year allows for those lives lost to continue to be honored with each passing year. And today in Fallon, another service was held also to honor the victims of 9/11. It was filled with honorary speakers, including Governor Brian Sandoval. The service included a full program of heartfelt events such as a choir performance, a 21-gun salute, and a rose ceremony. And in New York, thousands gathered at Ground Zero, paying tribute to the nearly 3,000 lives lost on that day 17 years ago. A moment of silence was held, followed by a ringing of a bell corresponding to the times when each plane went into the towers, the fall of the towers, the attack on the Pentagon, and also for Flight 93. And a majestic American symbol joins a September 11th memorial today. Fire crews were gathered in Coon Rapids, Minnesota to honor and remember victims when an eagle landed on top of a fire truck that was part of the ceremony. The eagle then flew away. Just one of the many events going on around the country honoring the victims of 9/11 today.
And when we return, we're going to dive into that fire weather forecast. When will the wind gusts return and just how cool temperatures will dip? I've got your Weather Authority forecast.
This was a guy who was intent on killing as many people as he could. And he had one weapon, but a whole lot of rounds of ammunition. And he didn't hesitate.
Well, disturbing new information coming out as the coroner describes the man who opened fire inside a Cincinnati bank headquarters building last week as a determined killing machine, he was called. More than 24 bullets from the shooter's 9mm gun struck victims. Perez, the suspect, killed 3 people before turning the gun on himself at a bank in Cincinnati on September 6th. Meantime, more than 1 million people in the Carolinas and Virginia are under evacuation orders tonight due to Hurricane Florence. That storm is a powerful Category 4 hurricane. Nick Valencia has the latest.
A wild close-up view of the eye of Hurricane Florence, the monster storm bearing down on the Carolinas, expected to be one of the strongest to slam into the East Coast in decades.
This storm is not a glancing blow. This storm's going to be a direct hit onto our coast.
Officials are pleading with everyone along the coast not to underestimate the hurricane's strength.
Everything that you've been hearing about this storm in terms of its severity is all true.
A hurricane hunter pilot speaking to CNN from high inside Florence echoes how serious it is.
There's nothing to prevent this storm from continuing to intensify.
Nearly 1.5 million people in Virginia and the Carolinas are under a mandatory evacuation. Already, South Carolina police reversing interstate traffic to make it easier for people to get out of harm's way.
All we know is it's coming. It's even stronger than Hurricane Hugo. Once it gets on the ground, the velocity will be more, but it'll be crawling across the ground, which means more and more rain.
Some are waiting it out, taking the risk of a last-minute evacuation, especially in areas like Myrtle Beach, where there is no major highway access.
I'll make an evaluation tomorrow afternoon. If that thing's still coming at us at about 120 miles an hour, I may change my mind.
For those staying and stocking up, long delays. At this Home Depot in Wilmington, North Carolina, a 90-minute wait for plywood.
I feel like we've got a good plan. We have plenty of the supplies that we feel like we'll need, and should something come up that, again, if we had to, we would evacuate.
All right, well, News 4 is your weather authority, and Chief Meteorologist Cassie Wilson joins us now with a look at Hurricane Florence at this hour. And really, Cassie, the clock is ticking as it bears down on the East Coast.
Yep, Thursday afternoon into the evening hours, expecting some of the outer rain bands by tomorrow evening, as Hurricane Florence is still a major Category 4 storm. Winds still 140 miles per hour, really no change. This is a good environment for this hurricane. Warm waters, not a lot of interaction with upper level winds is keeping it strong, and well, really no change, no big change to the forecast. Hurricane models still have it hitting North Carolina, but then it veering south and potentially re-impacting South Carolina as we head into Friday. So still expected to hit the East Coast by Thursday afternoon as a major hurricane. Today in Reno, though, we are finally cooling down. That's our big news, is fall-like weather is finally making its way into the forecast. And it's never just an easy transition here. It's always, well, we went from summer right to fall, as temperatures are going to dip well below average to round out your work week. Right now we're sitting at 68 degrees here in Reno. Winds, they've quieted down significantly, but expect them to return tomorrow. Expecting southwesterly winds picking up right around lunch, and 10 to 15 mile per hour winds expected then, with mid 70s into the afternoon. Winds could still gust between 20 to 30 miles per hour, as we're under that red flag warning until 11 p.m. tomorrow evening. Red flag warning conditions expected to persist, and then as we head into Wednesday, we're going to start to see some cloud cover building. Expect mostly cloudy to overcast conditions into Wednesday evening, and then we'll reverse it in Thursday. We will see that red flag warning expire, and then cloud cover will be thicker Thursday morning, but by the time we hit Thursday afternoon and evening, we'll see the sun yet again, and then the sun holds through the rest of the 7-day forecast. Temperatures, though, cooling off significantly. We'll be in the 80s out towards Battle Mountain, eastern Nevada, and well, 80s down towards Fallon, shaking the 90s there as we cool nearly 10 degrees. As we take a look, Carson City looking to hit a high of 75 degrees, and well, as we move up around the lake, 60s, there they are, 64 in Tahoma, 63 in Incline Village. Areas to the north expect 80s out towards Nixon, but a spread of the 70s on the valley floor here, with 78 degrees expected in Reno, and your neighborhood forecasts low 70s in Old Southwest and Cullen Ranch. Tonight, well, we'll cool to 53 degrees with some breezy conditions, and tomorrow expecting temperatures into the mid to upper 70s. That red flag warning will continue, and coming up here shortly, I've got a final look at that 7-day forecast when we return.
The last time the Nevada football team was able to knock off a Power 5 club, September of 2014, when they beat Washington State 24-13 at Mackey Stadium. From our brand new Nevada Sports Net studio, he's Julian Delgadio. I'm Alex Margulies. Nevada may have their best shot at ending their skid against Power 5 teams this Saturday when Oregon State comes to town.
Yeah, and the Beavers have a streak of their own that they would like to see end, and that's losses away from Corvallis. The Beavers have lost 20 straight on the road. that's not only the worst in the Pac-12, that's the worst in all of college football.
Only 5 players on this Nevada squad were part of the program when they last won against a Power 5 team against Wazoo in 2014. But this is definitely a team hungry for a victory over a Power 5 club. And after the loss this weekend against Vandy, for many, this is their last shot.
Winning this week would be huge against, Pac-12 team, a good team. I think it would really give us momentum going in to our last non-conference game, and I really want to beat a Power 5 team. So this is another great opportunity to do it.
Now, look, Nevada obviously has a lot to improve on upon that loss to Vandy, but Coach Norvell said this week he didn't think his team was overmatched in terms of size or ability. They just made way too many mistakes.
Yes, we're going to play good Power 5 teams. Yes, they're going to be physically demanding. But at the same time, if we play the proper techniques and our kids listen to coaching, we can manage those teams and we can play with them. We can't beat those teams if we don't execute offensively, and we didn't execute offensively. So that does not give us a chance to win. And so I think those are the lessons we're trying to teach our players. I told the kids it's very similar to the Toledo game last year. We had some kids that were not quite doing everything that we asked them to do, and we kind of got humbled by our performance against Toledo, and we started to do the things that we were coached to do, and we started to show traction and improvement, and that's what we have to do again.
Now on the season, the Beavers coming kind of like the Wolfpack. They started with a Power 5 opponent in Ohio State. They were throttled 77-31, but would get back on track last week. A 48-25 win over Southern Utah from the FCS level.
Kickoff on Saturday is set for 4 p.m. and Nevada's about a 4.5-point favorite over the Beavers at Sportsbooks. We'll have a full wrap-up of the game with Wolfpack All Access on Sunday night and on News 4 and weekends at 11 on Nevada Sports Net.
And before we go, some big news for Nevada hoops. Reno native and former Nevada star Armand Johnson has joined Eric Musselman's staff as a graduate assistant.
Yeah, and Armand Johnson was one of the best players in the history of the Nevada Wolfpack. You can find that story over on our website, nevadasportsnet.com. For Alex Margulies, I'm Julian Delgadio. We'll see you next time.
And it's certainly feeling a lot more like fall. Here's a look at that Nevada forecast as we head into Saturday's game. We're going to hold on to the 70s, but those 80s, they're not quite done yet.
All right. Thanks, Cassie. Thanks for tuning in tonight with us. Have a great evening, and we'll see you back here tomorrow on News 4.
The chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, Kevin Hassett, has been a leading economist in our country for over 30 years. I asked him which policies are making sure that our economy is as strong as it currently is. Here's what he told me.
The biggest policy that's driving everything is that we made America a friendly place to operate a factory again. And we used to be the highest corporate tax place on earth, and so you could, if you're a firm, a big multinational, you could build your plant to make iPhones over in Ireland, or you could build it here in the US. And if you built it in Ireland, you didn't have to pay any tax at all practically. If you built it in the US, you had the highest tax on earth. I think that the only historical precedent for this big of a turning point in economic history is Ronald Reagan.
On tax cuts. So you're saying that the corporate tax cut has already caused this large growth. Let's talk about the personal rates. Those were cut for a set amount of time through 2026. Now there's discussion about making those cuts permanent. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, President Trump 100% wants to make the tax cuts for businesses and for individuals permanent, but we fully expect, especially if Republicans win in the fall, that we'll make all of this stuff permanent. And I think that folks, if they look at their paychecks, then they'll see that the tax cuts are having a really big effect on their take-home pay. But I think that what's going to happen is that they're really going to see the biggest effect when they do their taxes next year. Because don't forget, the thing you file next April is the tax for this year.
Here's the bottom line. The historic tax cuts signed by President Trump last year are a leading reason for the economic prosperity we are currently experiencing. Let's hope that those tax cuts are made permanent so we can ensure long-term, sustainable economic growth in our country. Share with me your bottom line. Send me an email at bottomline@sbgtv.com and let me know your thoughts on today's segment.
The Vice President makes a stop in Las Vegas today to talk to airmen and veterans at Nellis Air Force Base. What remarks he had to say about Senator Dean Heller.
And it's that time of the year again for the Great Reno Balloon Race, but it's more than just pretty air balloons in the sky. More on that story next.
And it's officially the fight between summer and fall. I'm tracking 90s and 70s. Who's going to win out? I've got to look at your Weather Authority forecast.
This is News 4 at 5 on your side.
And thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joe Hart.
And I'm Shelby Sheehan.
Well, topping our news tonight, Vice President Mike Pence is in Las Vegas right now for a series of events going on. Earlier today, the Vice President toured Nellis Air Force Base and talked to a crowd of veterans and airmen praising President Trump and Senator Dean Heller. He mentioned that Trump has signed several bills introduced by Heller meant to improve services available to veterans.
It's remarkable to think of the work that he's done here. Not only he's a tenacious champion for our armed forces, tenacious champion for Nellis Air Force Base, but he's also a great champion, as you just heard, of the more than 300,000 veterans across Nevada. Join me in thanking again Senator Dean Heller for his leadership for the people of Nevada and America.
And the Vice President will attend a fundraiser benefiting Nevada Republican gubernatorial candidate Adam Laxalt and an event of the Republican Governors Association.
The Butte fire continues to grow in size, giving fire crews a tough fight for containment. The blaze, burning 20 miles north of Bridgeport, California, has burned more than 68,000 acres with still 0% containment. The flames have shut down US 395 between the towns of Walker and Bridgeport, but those towns are still accessible from other routes. The cause of this fire is still under investigation at this time.
And another one, the Delta fire, burning just north of Redding, California, has spread to nearly 25,000 acres. New road closures and evacuations have been put in place for multiple counties in the area, including Shasta County, and Interstate 5 is closed at certain areas along the north and southbound lanes. For the latest fire information, you can head to our website, mynews4.com.
Well, News 4 is your weather authority, and Chief Meteorologist Cassie Wilson is in to give us all the details on the weekend.
Yeah, we're talking about those fires, Cassie, but so far, luckily, clear skies for us around here.
Yeah, you know, we've seen a couple fires pop up, but some containment numbers improve for some, but others still dealing with that smoke being pushed into Mono County. The good news is it shouldn't impact that Great Reno Balloon Race and, well, your Friday night. Take a look outside right now. Could you ask for a better Friday night forecast? We are rounding the corner to the last days of the summer heat here, and while it holds on to keep us a little bit on the warmer side for some of those Great Reno Balloon Race launches. Gates open at 3:30 a.m., 63 degrees, but keep in mind, cooler weather will arrive between 5 and 7 a.m., upper 50s for mass ascension, so just bring some layers. And well, we are rounding the corner to fall. Not as many 90-degree days left in the forecast as you may want when 70s push their way in. I've got a look ahead here shortly.
All right, as we were talking about the Great Reno Balloon Race floating back into town for the weekend. The balloons were up this morning, but have you ever wondered why they call it an actual race?
Ben Marjot wanted to find out, and he shows us that it's more than just hot cocoa and beautiful balloons, great picture opportunities. There are also high-stakes competitions happening at the same time.
Long before the mesmerizing mass ascension at the Great Reno Balloon Race, a critical meeting.
We're looking at a real good day today.
Meteorologists set the stage by tracking a pilot balloon using a theodolite like this.
3, 2, 1. Snap it on. Elevation is 21.2.
They relay the wind speed and direction to balloon pilots. On Friday, calm winds were in the forecast.
Up to 4,000 feet above the field, the highest wind we had was 9 miles an hour.
As the balloons seem to casually float away, the competition heats up. At two different locations, scorers have placed a huge white X. The goal is easy enough. Throw a yellow beanbag as close as you can to the center. The pilots have to balance the shifting winds and use their expert skills to hit the mark. Less than an hour after liftoff, the first pilot flings his bag.
70 feet, 9 inches.
Not bad, but not great. Later, another balloon brushes by trees.
Yeah, baby!
And coasts in just feet in the air. Touching the ground gets you disqualified. A rare opportunity for California pilot Justin Kinsinger.
I get it that close all the time. No. Have I ever gotten it that close? Probably that's about as close as I've gotten it.
Scorer Sean Wagner says in previous years, a few feet still isn't good enough.
Within an inch. I mean, it's been, just right on top of the pin.
Most of us are just there for the beautiful balloons, but for the pilots, it's so much more.
It's exciting. It's exhilarating. This is why we come out.
In Reno, Ben Marjat reporting.
Well, there is a $7,500 prize purse that is split up between the top 5 pilots based on how they did today and how they do tomorrow. As of right now, there is no competition element on Sunday. Just a lot of beauty out there.
Well, a micronation is a tiny self-declared country. It is not recognized by the more established nations.
Over the past 40 years, there has been a micronation located in rural Nevada, here in northern Nevada. Tonight on News 4 Nightly, we'll take you to the Republic of Molossia for our Knowing Nevada series.
And if you're looking for an active indoor activity for the whole family to enjoy, you can head out to the 2018 Extreme Ability Challenge. The event is tomorrow from 10 a.m. until 2 and features local businesses battling in a friendly competition to test their skills that people with disabilities are able to do. This is a free and family-friendly event. Our own sports director Brian Samudio and former University of Nevada basketball coach Len Stevens are commentators for the event. For more information, you can visit our website, mynews4.com.
All right, starting this weekend, drivers will see some lane closures as a new traffic signal is activated out at USA Parkway and Electric Avenue. This is part of NDOT's traffic improvements for smoother and safer travel in that area. From today at 6 through tomorrow around 7 p.m., there will be single lane closures on USA Parkway and Electric Avenue as the signal heads are installed and activated. And in addition to the new signal, 2 left turn lanes and a dedicated merge lane have also been installed out there. We are learning more about the Cincinnati shooting that happened this week and the suspected shooter. See the newly released surveillance video that's been released and that shows the moments before that shooting happened.
And the Kavanaugh hearings have wrapped up after 4 days of testimony, with both views of in favor and opposed of Kavanaugh's nomination. Take the stand. We'll have the story coming up.
And are we finally cooling down into fall? I've got a look at your weather authority forecast.
Police are still investigating what led a gunman to open fire in a high-rise building in downtown Cincinnati this week. 3 people were killed and 2 others were wounded. 29-year-old Omar Enrique Santa Perez was armed with a semi-automatic handgun, and he had a briefcase of extra ammunition. Newly released surveillance video shows the chilling moments when the gunman opened fire in downtown Cincinnati. Officers surrounded the suspect within 3 minutes, and they ultimately shot him through the glass.
Our officers responded to that training and performed very well. I couldn't be prouder of them.
Authorities believe that quick action saved lives. Omar Perez had been issued several traffic tickets in the Cincinnati area, but had no local criminal history. He did file civil lawsuits against NBC Universal and TD Ameritrade earlier this year. Both cases were recommended for dismissal. Investigators still can't be sure what led him into that building. It's an ongoing investigation as another American city grieves innocent lives lost.
Well, tonight, families who have lost loved ones by undocumented immigrants took their message to the steps of Capitol Hill. Our national correspondent, Michelle Macaluso, with their message and what they're demanding from Congress.
She was my beautiful angel.
Michelle Root's daughter Sarah was allegedly killed by an undocumented immigrant 2.5 years ago. Police arrested Edwin Mejia for driving drunk and for street racing. He posted bail and was never seen again.
If Edwin Mejia was not in my country, Sarah would still be here.
Michelle and the Angel families are calling on lawmakers to strengthen the nation's immigration laws and to secure the border. They believe President Trump's immigration policies will save lives.
President Trump will always stand by you and will never ever forget you and the attention that you are trying to bring to these issues.
Republican senators have reintroduced Sarah's law named after Sarah Root. The bill would require U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, to detain undocumented immigrants if they have hurt or killed Americans. Some Democrats support the legislation, but believe anti-immigration rhetoric is sowing discord and division.
That's really not what the Republicans are doing. They're hiding behind, that handful of lawbreakers to basically whack at immigrants in general. And I think that's just un-American.
When they point to these isolated incidents of immigrants becoming unlawful, that is pure, undistilled bigotry.
Critics of the Trump administration's hardline policies also make the point that not all people who come to America illegally are here to commit more crimes. On Capitol Hill, I'm Michelle Macaluso.
Confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh have finished up after 4 days in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Today's session heard testimonies from a series of outside witnesses, including civil rights attorneys and a survivor of the Parkland school shooting. Some expressed fears that he would threaten abortion rights, expand access to assault weapons, and roll back a series of protections on environmental and civil rights issues. But supporters said that Kavanaugh is uniformly fair and has shown a personal commitment to advancing the careers of minorities.
I do not know of a lawyer or a judge who is more uniformly respected in terms of his personality, his character, his integrity, his fairness, and his competence.
Well, Senate Republicans hope Kavanaugh is confirmed before the Supreme Court resumes business in October. All right, almost the weekend here. News 4 is your weather authority, and Chief Meteorologist Cassie Wilson's here.
And she's here to tell us about the upcoming forecast for the weekend, and going to be perfect, especially for those balloons out there.
Oh, we're still holding on to summer for the most part here in You can see the wind blowing in the trees in the distance, and it's going to remain gusty through the bulk of the afternoon and evening hours. 21-mile-per-hour winds here in Reno. We're still strong down towards Carson City, Minden, Gardnerville, and breezy out towards Fernley, stretching down into Smith Valley. Gusts could reach up to 25 miles per hour, but it's welcomed when we've got this heat. 93 degrees in Reno, 94 out towards Fernley. So mix those two together, kind of cancel each other out for a nice night ahead. Mid-80s through the evening, and well, once we hit sundown, we'll hold on to that wind for about an hour afterwards, and then we'll see things quiet down with 77 degrees expected by 10 o'clock. Your weekend holds on to summer. 90 degrees for Saturday, 91 for Sunday, making it, well, another summer-like weekend here. Usually we hit Labor Day and we start to cool down fast, but here in northern Nevada, we are not quitting on that summer heat. Now we are tracking something that could slide us into fall fast. So enjoy the 90s and sunshine while you can, because we've got low pressure lining up off the west coast. It is going to pull cooler air into our skies, dropping us close to 70 degrees by the middle of next week. Now, that's not the only low pressure I'm talking about. After that one lifts by the end of the week, we've got another one lining up for next weekend. This one could potentially bring a little bit of moisture in. For the most part, though, just expect a pretty quick drop in temperatures. We're going to go from 90s to, well, some upper 70s as we head through the 7-day. 92 degrees out, though, for Fallon for your Saturday. No concerns for the weekend, so we'll just focus on that for now. Saturday out towards Carson City, 87 degrees there, 89 in Dayton. Heading up to the lake for one more go. 80 degrees out towards Glenbrook and into Southlake. 92 out towards Pyramid Lake. 89, though, in Spanish Springs, with some 80s sprinkling into valley locations, but 90 in downtown Reno. Expect an overnight low of 57 degrees, clear, quiet, a perfect Friday night forecast with winds dying down, and then tomorrow 90, sunny and hot, good to moderate air quality, and a little bit of a breeze out of the west into the afternoon. So we hold on to the 90s for the next couple of days, and then there it is, that 79 degrees by Wednesday to kick off the air races, and temperatures look to stay on the cooler side as we move through to next weekend. So expect, well, more fall-like feels as we head through the 7-day.